The man makes podcasts like bunnies makes babies. It's Nick Digilio. Is that what happened? And the Nick D podcast is something you should have delivered directly to you.
Yeah, you should.
As is that show and funny since forever. What's the title? The show's been funny in years.
By the way,
that's the Saturday Night Live podcast.
That's my Saturday Night Live
that
podcast.
Too.
Yeah, I do want to mention though today, right now, as of about an hour ago, the 200th episode of the Nick D podcast has come out.
Congratulations!
Very cool.
Thank you.
Very nice. Well done, dude.
200 episodes of the Nick D podcast. I've been with Radio Misfits, the Radio Misfits Podcast Network, RadioMisfits.com now since January of 2022.
Awesome.
And so we celebrated 200 episodes. The 200th episode is just dropped today. You can subscribe. It's free. It's at Radio Misfits and every platform. And in it, I play back a whole bunch of highlights and interviews with really cool celebrities and guests over the past 200 episodes. And then the British bon vivant, who Tom Hush knows really well, a guy named Slap Slapley. He's British, and he conducted a 200th episode trivia contest between me and my co-host Esmeralda Leon.
Oh, that should be fun.
And Tom knows Slap Slapley pretty well.
Yeah, we go back.
Slap Slapley is a renowned entertainment figure.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't know Slap
highly
Slapley,
intelligent.
check out his Wikipedia page.
Yeah. But yeah, so a bunch of like really great old celebrity interviews from the past 200 episodes, like Suzanne Vega, Bill Janovitz from Buffalo Tom, Josh Robert Thompson from the Craig Ferguson Show, actors like Stephen Tobolowsky, Malcolm Danare from Christine.
Yeah, your buddy.
A bunch of great celebrity interviews celebrating the past, and then a really fun look back between Esmeralda and I, talking about great things we've done over the past 2 episodes. 22, because only 2 of the 200 have been good, and then
there's been more than that.
Because you were on 2 of them, so those were the only 2. And then Slap Slapley shows up for a really a particularly hilarious round of trivia.
Okay.
So it's great. So episode number 200 of the Nick D podcast dropped today.
It's excellent.
Congratulations.
Highly entertaining. I really enjoyed your
Thank you.
podcast.
And you were a guest on it as well. And on the live podcast, the live version.
And I mean this, and I know you're going to, you don't take compliments well, but you're such a great interviewer.
Oh, thanks.
And when we were at Zanies, you just captivated that audience. There wasn't a pause or a lull. I mean, it was just nonstop entertainment.
You two did an interpretive fan dance.
We
which
did.
I think
We
was
did,
good as well.
yes.
But I just I really love working in front of a crowd. I'm going to be with you on New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
we have a meeting today about that.
Okay.
You're going to be doing something I think you'll enjoy very much.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to it. I love doing it.
The writer's room is very busy.
If it's what you did last year, you killed it. You were so good.
That was a really big moment for me, actually, Steve, because it was my first
that?
time. That was my first time in front of an audience doing comedy in a long time. Last New Year's Eve, and it was great.
So
and
nervous,
I was, and I guess I did well.
You were so good.
Absolutely killed it.
But I'm looking forward to it, and I love being in front of a live audience. And with you, Andrea, it's so easy when we were at Zanies, and we're going to do another live show at Zanies in Rosemont probably early February.
Cool.
The Saturday Night Live podcast, is that new one up?
Yeah, the new one is up, and it dropped on Wednesday, and it is Regrets I Had a Few is the title.
Okay.
And it is specifically.
Tell me more.
Thank you, Steve. I will do that. The podcast is called That Show Hasn't Been Funny in Years, an SNL podcast. It's also available at RadioMisfits.com and every platform. It's out there right now. But the newest episode is all about. It's about 5 sketches or bits that were done on SNL that now the people who were a part of them regret.
Oh,
Meaning that things that they were like, oh man, that was a little too mean, or now, because it's politically incorrect now, you look back at it.
Yeah.
And the impetus for doing this was, and I don't play this clip on the podcast, but it was, I don't know if you remember this or not, but back in the year 2000, keep that in mind, the year 2000, not 1950 or 40 or 30, but in the year 2000, Jimmy Fallon did a Chris Rock imitation on SNL in blackface.
I do remember that.
I do not remember that.
And he, of course, now completely regrets it. And I got 5 other bits in the history of SNL, most recent history of SNL that people have regretted. So
makes sense. It's a good theme.
Yeah,
it is. It's interesting. And so that's going to be the first of a few of these types of episodes where it's like, wow, I can't believe you guys did that on SNL. It's kind of offensive. It's kind of weird. Now you look back at it now, I mean, I don't know what woke means, and nobody knows what that means.
Right.
And, and some, like, for instance, one of the clips that I play and talk about is Dana Carvey regrets doing his Johnny Carson because he thought it was too mean.
Really? Oh, I always liked that.
So did I.
And I like the who played it.
Well, the backstory is Johnny Carson is a hero to anybody over the age of 50 who ever wanted to get into
television
talk show.
yeah.
And he made the careers of so many people. So that hurt his feelings. And he actually admitted it, which is not something a Midwesterner would do. Mm-hmm. But he said to Ed, well, they're making fun of me now on my own network. I guess it's time to go.
And and the clip that I played and the one that he mostly regrets is also, I think, the funniest one. Do you remember when he did Carsenio?
Yeah, it was a combination of Johnny and Arsenio.
Yes.
Because Arsenio was beating him in the ratings at that time and had a younger audience.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he wasn't, and Johnny was attempting to be hip. And so they did this Carsenio. I personally think it's hilarious, but Dana thought he regretted it. And that's one of the sketches that I play back is these things that people regret. The sheet cake incident where Tina Fey came in response to what happened in Charlottesville in 2017. And her response was to eat a sheet cake. And she regrets that. And I talk about that and play that clip back too. So that's what it is.
That's maybe a little oversensitive because that was good parody, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, she was like, her thing was that she thought that she was condoning apathy.
Right. Or being insensitive.
Yeah, and not insensitive, but not doing anything, just eating a cake.
Right.
And I didn't think the bit was particularly apathetic. I just didn't think it was very funny.
Right.
But that's why she regretted it. And then Bill Hader regrets using the term midget now in his Stefan sketches. So I play back one where he apologizes for it. And Seth Rogen, during one of his monologues when he came back to host, he did a bit in his opening monologue where he was reading from his journal, and one of the things he did was he catfished James Franco pretending to be a 17-year-old girl.
No, that's a problem.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yep.
When James Franco and Matt Gaetz, they weren't hanging out.
No.
All right, so we want you to get both. We want you to get you the Nick D podcast, and that show hasn't been funny in years. They're both where?
RadioMisfits.com, and they are available on every single platform. And again, 200th episode today of the Nick D podcast is out there.
Excellent.
All right, so when we come back, you'll talk about some current stuff to consider or throw out.
Got some movies.
Miranda just handed me the story about remembering John Lennon's life and legacy. It's the 43rd anniversary of his death.
43 years, man.
Wow, today.
You would have had to have been alive, but you do have access to YouTube to see a very odd man named Howard Cosell, who was the biggest star in America, who actually was friends, in quotes, with John Lennon and made the announcement on Monday Night Football by doing this. Yeah, I was watching the game. Mm-hmm. It goes, this breaking news. John Lennon, dead, shot and killed near his home. I mean, that kind of staccato sort of thing. I mean, you'd watch it now, you'd be just horrified, not just because of the news, but it's like, who is this insensitive boob? Yeah. But it was Howard Cosell on Monday Night Football 43 years ago.
I was 15. I remember the next day at school. I went to a school that was associated with the Lutheran Church, and we would have morning announcements and a prayer every morning. And I remember one of the teachers, and I'm going to give his name. He made this announcement. He was doing the morning announcements, and he did the prayer. And he said, "I understand that some of you are very upset that this John Lennon person was killed last night, but you should know he's in hell now, and he was a sinner." And
good Lord!
And he said this
part of the morning announcements.
Yeah,
oh
and I remember sitting, and then the story behind the scenes story that I found out years later is that the principal was bolting down the hallway and saying, "You can't say that to these kids." And I was 15 and a big John Lennon fan, and I was like, well. You know,
great way to lose the room.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
So those are my memories. I heard it from Howard Cosell, and then I was told that he was damned by one of my teachers the next morning.
Oh,
it's ridiculous.
Texter writes in regards to our last conversation about regrets from Saturday Night Live. I hope Tim Conway doesn't regret doing Dorf because that made me laugh.
That wasn't Saturday Night Live.
That was funny.
All
right, what do we got? What's out?
This might be a first. Are you ready?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You're seated. You're seated, Andrea. You're seated, Steve. I think everybody is seated.
Nick's seated. We're all seated.
I'm seated. I like all three of the movies that came out this week.
Yes.
You want to mark it down.
This is outstanding.
You want to mark that one down.
Storm clouds in the area. I'm looking for lightning to strike.
Mark this day because in 43 years, we're going to be saying, remember?
Yeah.
All right, movie number one.
Poor Things, which technically doesn't open until next week here, but it opens in New York and L.A. And this is the latest from an insane Greek director.
Yorgos
Lanthimos is the director's name, and it stars Emma Stone, who, as far as I'm concerned, performance of the year, performance of her career, and it is kind of a variant on Frankenstein. What happens is Willem Dafoe plays this sort of mad scientist who takes this body of this woman who committed suicide, who was pregnant, reanimates the body, and then puts the brain of the baby into the reanimated adult body. And it's about how this woman who is reanimated has to go from having a child's brain to turning into a full-on woman over the course of the movie. It's an extraordinary piece about feminism. It's an extraordinary scientific piece. It's also really, really twisted, really, really weird. And I don't know how the regular public is going to feel about it, but it's my third favorite movie of the year. It co-stars Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo in one of the funniest performances, maybe the best performance he's ever given.
So is this dark comedy?
It's dark, it's twisted. It is as weird a movie as you'll ever get, but this performance of Emma Stone, who basically is playing a full-bodied woman who has to become an adult from infant throughout the course of the movie, and then become a feminist and have control of her body while this is all happening, in very weird sci-fi horror kind of elements splashed all over it. I just think it's an extraordinary movie. And without question, Emma Stone will be nominated for an Academy Award.
Has she ever won?
Yeah, she won for La La Land.
Okay.
And she's great.
Yeah.
She's always great.
And she's always great. And this is the best, and this is saying a lot, the best performance she's ever given is in Poor Things.
Wow.
So,
number 2.
Eileen, which is this crazy thriller with Anne Hathaway.
I want to see this.
And Thomasin McKenzie. And it takes place in the 60s. And Thomasin McKenzie plays the daughter of an alcoholic Boston cop. It takes place in outside of Boston. And she works at a juvenile detention center, a prison. And a psychologist played by Anne Hathaway, very sexy psychologist, shows up. And they begin a weird friendship, which gets really dark and twisted. And this is another dark, twisted movie. That is not, it's not great. It's solid. It's weird. It brings the 60s to life really well. And the whole, where it takes place, the whole, the feeling of the 60s and the weirdness of it. And what happens in this detention center and what they end up doing, what these two women end up doing. They have kind of a weird, inappropriate relationship. And that leads to a really dark, twisted crime.
What's the genre? What's that fit into?
Thriller, mystery, and general weirdness. But it's anchored by two remarkable performances.
In theaters this weekend?
It is, yes. It just opened this weekend. It's called Eileen, and that's Thomasin McKenzie.
And shockingly, the third movie you like?
Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget.
Can't make it up. You can't make it up.
Chicken Run.
And this has got some great acting performances.
Well, it's voiceover.
I thought the chicken was great.
But it's, like people like Thandie Newton, Zachary Levi, David Brandy, Lynn Ferguson, Imelda Staunton. It's a sequel to the 20-year-old, or I should say 23-year-old, Chicken Run, the original animated movie made by the Aardman Company, where they actually take the time to do claymation, where they move it. It's not computerized. It's actual claymation where every shot is taken when you move a figure. It's beautifully animated. And if you remember Chicken Run, which was a fantastic movie that was a huge hit back in 2000, it only took them 23 years to make a sequel, and the sequel is terrific. It is, it's on Netflix. Next week, it's on Netflix. It's in theaters. It'll be in theaters for a little while, and then it'll be on Netflix. So it's a Netflix movie. It's great for the whole family. It's a worthy follow-up if you like the original Chicken Run, which I do.
Yeah, same here.
This is just, it's not quite as great as the original, but it's just there. It's incredibly entertaining, really funny, really sweet, really hilarious, beautifully animated. It is a terrific, terrific movie. One of the best animated movies of the year.
And can I reveal the big secret?
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis is the lead chicken.
That's exactly right.
Oh, is it true? Cool.
I didn't want to spoil it for everybody.
You're
but
lying.
three decent movies.
I love that.
And some of them you can watch in theaters. And then
you know what that says, Andrea? This is your positivity rubbing off on
That's
that.
what it is.
I'm telling you, this
That's
is
gotta
great.
be what
I
it
want to
is.
see all three of these.
Yeah.
This is excellent.
All right, we're out of time. But before we go, I am urging you to give us information on this maybe the next time you're back. Netflix viewers have slammed a new action series as the worst show they've ever watched. It's called Obliterated.
Yeah.
Do you know about this?
I do.
Yeah. It is about
I've not watched it. I've not seen it.
Special forces team that has to save Las Vegas from ruin. They think they did. They find out the nuke was fake. Now they got to go find the real nuke. Yeah. Sounds like an episode of 24. Sounds like whatever.
It does.
But
I've not seen it.
And over again, people say, gouge my eyes out. Don't make me watch this. They said the first 15 minutes will make you question every one of your life choices. I can't imagine how bad it is, so I need a rundown.
I will. You know what? I'll watch a little bit of it and see if it's as bad as everybody says it is. I have not had time to watch it because I've been catching up. By the way, maybe the next time I'm in, we can do my best of the year.
Please.
Yes.
Because I did the list. I published it on my socials and stuff.
Right.
And I do have my best and worst of the year. So maybe we can do that the next time I'm in.
RadioMisfits.com.
That's right.
200th episode.
Yep. And he's just getting started. It's Nick Digilio.
Thanks, man.
All right.